In the late 13th century, the Mongol Empire was the undisputed hegemon of the Eurasian continent. Under the rule of Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan and founder of the Yuan dynasty, the Mongols had conquered China, subjugated the Korean kingdom of Goryeo, and absorbed vast maritime resources. Only one sovereign nation in East Asia stood defiant against Kublai's demands for vassalage, the Kamakura shogunate of Japan. To force Japan into submission, Kublai Khan launched two of the largest amphibious invasion armadas in human history, surpassed in scale only by the Allied Normandy landings in 1944. Yet, what was meant to be a swift conquest turned into a grueling naval war of attrition, culminating in the legendary weather phenomena known to history as the Kamikaze, the divine winds. Today, we break down the historical reality of the Mongol invasions of 1274 and 1281. The naval engineering, ship construction, defensive tactics, and modern underwater archaeological evidence behind this historic maritime conflict. In November 1274, the first Yuan invasion fleet set sail from the southern Korean port of Masan. Historical records from the Goryeo state that the fleet comprised roughly 900 vessels carrying an estimated force of 15,000 Yuan and Mongol troops, alongside 6,000 to 8,000 Goryeo soldiers and rowers. The Yuan fleet first overwhelmed the defensive outposts on Tsushima and Iki Islands before entering Hakata Bay on the southern island of Kyushu. On land, the Japanese samurai, led by commanders such as Shoni Kagisuke, relied on traditional single combat archery tactics, iki-uchi. The Yuan forces, however, fought in disciplined close-order infantry formations supported by phalanxes of spearmen, deadly composite bows, and early gunpowder weapons known as tetsuhabo, cast-iron bombs filled with gunpowder and shrapnel, hurled by catapults. Despite driving the Japanese forces back from the beaches toward the Mizuki earthworks, the Yuan commanders faced a severe strategic dilemma. Their troops were exhausted, ammunition was running low, and their senior generals, including Liu Fuxiang, had been wounded in action. Fearing a night counterattack by Japanese reinforcements, the commanders ordered the invasion force to re-embark onto their ships. That night, as the Yuan fleet lay anchored in the exposed waters of Hakata Bay, a sudden late autumn storm struck the coastline. Ancient Japanese accounts attributed the storm to divine intervention. However, historical climate records and Yuan documents indicate that while a severe gale did occur, the catastrophic loss of life was primarily driven by naval panic and poor anchorage choices. Flat-bottomed river barges and hastily constructed troop transports, lacking deep ocean keels, collided with one another in the dark, smashing against the rocky shorelines. According to the Yuan Shi, the official history of the Yuan dynasty, approximately 13,000 Yuan troops and sailors perished during the retreat, mostly through drowning and shipwreck. The surviving vessels limped back to Goryeo, handing Japan a temporary victory and providing the Kamakura shogunate with crucial intelligence regarding Mongol naval doctrine. Recognizing that Kublai Khan would inevitably return, the de facto ruler of Japan, Hojo Tokimune, ordered massive defense preparations along the coast of Kyushu. Between 1276 and 1281, Japanese stonecutters and laborers constructed a massive defensive stone wall, the Genko Bori, along a 20-kilometer stretch of Hakata Bay. Standing roughly 2 to 3 meters high and 2 meters wide, the wall served a dual purpose: denial of landing. It prevented Yuan cavalry and armored infantry from establishing a secure beachhead. Archery platform. It provided mounted and foot samurai with elevated, fortified firing positions. Simultaneously, Japanese shipbuilders constructed hundreds of small, highly maneuverable coastal raiding craft known as kobaya. Lacking heavy armor or sails, these light rowing boats were designed for high-speed night ambushes against anchored enemy ships. In 1281, Kublai Khan launched a far larger, two-pronged invasion force designed to crush Japanese resistance permanently. The Eastern Route Fleet, Eastern Army. Departing from Masan, Korea, consisting of approximately 900 ships and 40,000 troops. The Southern Route Fleet, Southern Army. Departing from Ningbo, southern China, consisting of 3,500 ships and nearly 100,000 troops from the recently conquered Song dynasty. In total, the 1281 invasion armada numbered over 4,400 ships and nearly 140,000 men, an unprecedented concentration of naval power in medieval Asia. The plan called for the two fleets to rendezvous at Iki Island before launching a synchronized assault on Kyushu. However, logistical delays plagued the Southern Fleet, forcing the Eastern Fleet to launch isolated attacks against Tsushima and Hakata Bay in June 1281. When the Eastern Fleet arrived at Hakata Bay in June 1281, they found the coastline completely transformed. The Genko-Bori stone wall made a direct amphibious assault virtually impossible. Every attempt by Yuan forces to force a landing was repulsed by entrenched Japanese archers. Unable to land their heavy cavalry, the Yuan fleet lashed their ships together in tight, fortified offshore formations, using iron chains and heavy wooden planks to create floating defensive platforms. This static posture played directly into Japanese hands. Utilizing their nimble kobaya rowing craft, small squads of samurai conducted relentless night raids. Boarding the massive Yuan ships under cover of darkness, samurai decapitated enemy officers, set fire to ship riggings, and slipped back into the night. As recorded in the Moko Shurai Ekotoba, samurai commander Takezaki Suenyaga personally led aggressive boarding actions, forcing the Yuan fleet to remain on high alert for weeks, draining their supplies and morale. By late July 1281, the Southern Fleet finally linked up with the Eastern Fleet, consolidating their massive armada of over 4,000 ships near Takashima Island in Imari Bay. For weeks, the combined force prepared for a massive, coordinated land invasion. Then, on August 15th, 1281, nature struck with catastrophic force. A major Pacific typhoon swept directly over Kyushu and Imari Bay. Unlike the modest storm of 1274, the typhoon of August 15th was a tropical cyclone of extreme intensity. Trapped inside the narrow bay, thousands of Yuan ships, chained together for defense against Japanese raiders, were smashed against one another by massive sea surges. Hull planks shattered, masts snapped, and thousands of vessels capsized or were driven onto the sharp coastal reefs. Image prompt for diagram. Prompt for diagram. Tactical map of Imari Bay during the August 15th, 1281 typhoon, showing the geographic trap of Takashima Island, wind directions, wave surges, and fleet wreckage clusters, historical military map style. The loss of the 1281 invasion fleet was a catastrophic blow to the Mongol Empire. Historians estimate that between 60% and 80% of the entire invasion force perished, making it one of the deadliest naval disasters in world history. Kublai Khan planned a third invasion of Japan, but civil unrest in southern China, financial exhaustion, and wars in Southeast Asia forced him to abandon the campaign before his death in 1294. For Japan, the victory permanently shaped national identity and religious culture. The term kamikaze, meaning divine wind, entered the cultural lexicon, reinforcing the belief that the Japanese archipelago was divinely protected by the kami, gods. However, the financial toll of the war severely weakened the Kamakura shogunate. Unlike domestic battles, where victorious samurai were rewarded with conquered land, defensive wars yielded no new territory to distribute. Dissatisfaction among samurai families over rewards eventually contributed to the collapse of the Kamakura shogunate in 1333. The Mongol invasions of 1274 and 1281 represent a pivotal intersection of military technology, coastal fortification, and natural phenomenon. The divine winds did not strike a passive nation. They struck a heavily fortified coastline defended by a relentless adversary that had forced the largest fleet in the world to anchor in an exposed deadly trap. Through historical chronicles and modern seabed archaeology, the story of the 1281 Armada stands not as a simple myth of divine luck, but as a profound historical lesson in naval engineering, strategic defense, and the unyielding power of the ocean. Thank you for watching this detailed historical breakdown. If you enjoyed this accurate deep dive into ancient naval warfare, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.